We are kicking it off right here. Finally, yes. Exultation is in the audience right there, as we can see. Funnily enough, people don't actually like staring at a Battle.net screen for 22 minutes. I can't imagine why. Personally, I find it very zen. In this case, we'll find it very Sen. And ClouD versus Sen coming off right here. We've got ClouD in the blue trunks. He is playing Terran on this, the Terminus Re, or I believe it's the ESL Terminus SE, just to confuse you a little bit more, versus his opponent, the one and only Sen from Team Fnatic MSI. Just FYI, if you weren't aware, ClouD is part of the Team Meteor Makers. And Sen is in the red trunks, and he's to the south of this particular map, and he is playing Zerg. ClouD is one of those Terran players that I like an awful lot because he thinks like a Zerg when it comes to his macro. He's really intense when it comes to building his expansions. He will willingly, and as you can see right there, he's going pretty crazy right here on getting that supply dip down just a little bit late. Gets every last bit of juice out of what he can from his mining. Very, very effective stuff. Now, what ClouD has a tendency to do is actually expand on 14 supply. So he kind of got the nickname, well, the fake Zerg, I suppose. And what ended up happening was he would do that an awful lot, and he can actually hold it as well. I think that's perhaps the most amazing thing about it. It's not that he does it, it's that it actually works. ClouD is very much a heavy, and I do mean a heavy macro play. He's big into his economy. In this case, he's building a barracks down the bottom, which indicates to me that he will certainly try and expand shortly. Wants to wall off this area, and the Terminus Re is one of his favorite maps because he's very easily able to take 3 bases very quickly. In the meantime, Sen will be looking to expand at some point. Looks like he's going to go do so right now. A little bit early on that. Not that that really matters too much. And here we go. There's his expansion coming up on 14 supply. ClouD, needless to say, not actually making any attempt to deny it. That's not the kind of thing he does. And the barracks coming down at the front here as well. We'll wait to see what he decides to do for that. He does have a lot of cash building up, so I have a feeling he's going to expand directly behind that. That would be an expansion on about 16 if he were to do that. We'll see what he decides. He's going for his orbital command right now, and a single barracks pumping out, and this will be his expansion. As I said, he is incredibly quick with his expansions, unusually so. If this were coming from any other player, I wouldn't expect an expansion there, but in this case, because it's ClouD, I expect that. And there it goes, down on 16 supply, a little later than usual, but he does at least have a barracks, which is sometimes more than he usually does when he ends up building his expansion, expanding on 14, which, as I said before, is borderline suicide. But it seems to do the job. He's managed to adapt it quite nicely. And Sen deciding, instead of being shot to pieces, he'd like to steal that gas. Doesn't really matter all that much. ClouD is a very heavy infantry player. He goes for Marines, Marauders, Medivacs, and he goes for heavy upgrades. So he doesn't need the 4 gas to get the upgrades rolling. It would be kind of nice, but 3 gas is certainly enough to do the job. We'll see as to whether or not this really makes a difference. Sen, more to the point, just stealing it to stop his opponent from killing his units. He gets more scouting information as well. He can keep an eye on the timings there and things like that. And Sen working on absolutely nothing right now. Just trying to get things going, getting his queen going. He has got an extractor coming up right here. And he hasn't got his speeding upgrade started for very obvious reasons. And those couple of queens will move down there and he can get things nice and rolling. His economy is slightly behind that of ClouD, and it will end up being much slower than ClouD once ClouD is able to get this orbital command center up. That's a wonderful thing about expanding very early as Terran. It's awesome. I mean, obviously you have to wait a little longer to get an orbital commander, but once you have, that means you've got double the mules, and the longer that expansion's been up, the more beneficial it actually is. ClouD with the factory on the way up right here, and we'll have to see if he decides to go for Hellions. He's certainly not been known to do that, and without following up with the second barracks, I would expect something along those lines. His unit count's at 4 Marines at the moment, which is certainly not a threat to Sen under any circumstances, unless, of course, he's very, very scared of Marines. That is a double factory play. Coming down right here. Double factory usually would mean Hellion. And the reason you do that is to build a tech lab on one, a reactor on the other, pump out 3 Hellions at a time with the Infernal Pre-Igniter upgrade. It's very effective, especially so against Zerg. Sen would be hard-pressed to deal with it at this stage. And Sen deciding to expand once again on the 5 and 50-second mark. Hatchery coming up very, very early. He wants to stay ahead of his opponent. Admittedly, because he's sacrificing so much in terms of defense, I am very concerned for Sen that ClouD will be able to do major damage with some kind of Infernal Pre-Igniter attack, which of course is what's coming in right here. He's not bothering to build the reactor. What you usually find is that, say, he would build maybe another barracks, then swap it over, because the reactor takes a good 50 seconds to build. So you want to build it on a different structure and then do the swap. Baneling Nest on the way up for Sen right here. And an Evolution Chamber. Neither of these are going to be all that useful against an Infernal Pre-Igniter attack. Baneling's simply not quick enough to do it, unless ClouD, of course, loses control of the Hellions, then driving them into the Banelings, which is very unlikely to happen. ClouD's an extremely competent player. He's playing back in Brood War. He's a veteran, honestly, of the scene. I think he's the top-ranked Italian, honestly. I mean, I don't know of any other Italians who are better than ClouD. You see Sen having a look around and seeing what he can see right here, trying to grab himself some Zelnaga watchtowers, get some good scouting information. That will give him a warning. A couple of spine crawlers coming right here for Sen, but those are actually out of position. You'll notice that it's easy to slide past these with Hellions. It depends on whether he decides to maybe move them. Hellions moving out right now, and Sen's going to gain some early scouting information. He's got control of all of those. A little bit of barbecue action going on right here as ClouD takes that. Wastes a few valuable seconds, and these spine crawlers could be redeployed here by Sen, but it's a little risky to do that because of the speed of the Hellions. If those spine crawlers undeploy, they're going to do nothing at all, and I would not be surprised to see Sen try and stop this ramp attack. If ClouD actually goes up that and starts doing damage, that's a big problem. ClouD could very easily run this. He could do it without losing a single Hellion. Spine crawlers attack very slowly and Hellions move very quickly. It can be done. The longer he waits, of course, the more chance there is of him running into Banelings, which are coming up right there. ClouD is saying he doesn't want to go in, which I am very surprised about, honestly. I really, really am. He's transitioning out of that into siege tanks and marines, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, he could have gone in there, he could have slid past this, he could have been in this mineral line, which has no real defense except for that queen. He could have done major damage. He's decided not to do that, so I have to wonder what he's planning on doing. He's actually maybe going to repair them. No, that would be crazy. Is this going to be Hellions into bunker contain? Okay. That's an interesting idea. So you can see ClouD is going to try and contain Sen right here to prevent another base from coming down, which is fine. You know, that's entirely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Using the Hellions, of course, to keep the Banelings and the Zerglings away from these bunkers. Now, Sen surely is aware of this. No, he's not. The creep hasn't spread that far. He will be aware of that siege tank deploying right there. And then he's going to knock down the front door of his opponent. And, of course, he's got great visibility over here. That siege tank is going to prove to be very dangerous. And the second siege tank backing that up, Sen's going to have a bit of difficulty breaking through. His approach, by the looks of it, will be brute force. And that is a nice idea, actually. Sen pushing forward his spine crawler deliberately to take those shelling, and there's the Baneling bust. However, it was not enough. That last tank shell nuked the rest of them, and ClouD is now able to push his way in. That was actually a mistake by Sen, and it could cost him the game right here, as those Infernal Pre-Igniter Hellions roast the Zerglings very easily. ClouD pushing forward again. He's got good shelling going on. He's going to try and deny this third base, and he should be able to do just that. ClouD coming in once again. He needs to get away from those Banelings immediately. Good shelling right there. There's the detonation. Most of those Marines taken out. However, the tanks remain alive, and that's perhaps the most important thing right here. There's quick transfuse right there, taking yet more shelling from the tanks. He needs more, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's using those two factories to pump out yet more tanks streaming across the map right here. A lot of firepower coming down on Sen. This hatchery is pretty much doomed for the moment, and using these guys as gatekeepers effectively to eliminate small units that come in close. It's a really great use of mech play right here. However, it is vulnerable to one thing, and that is, of course, Mutalisks. So if he doesn't get enough Marines on the field to defend against that, he's going to be in big trouble. Already taking a bit of damage right here by the Mutalisks, who will wheel around and try and find an angle of attack. Will they be able to find one more to the point? The answer is not at the moment. ClouD's got this held pretty well. However, Sen manages to get in. He takes not one, but two tanks out of play. He's still under a lot of pressure, however. He has lost this base, and ClouD, in the meantime, of course, has expanded to his third, and why wouldn't he? ClouD pushing forward once again, trying to do as much damage as possible. He's left those siege tanks dangerously exposed right there, and gets punished for it. The mobility of Sen right now could prove to be very, very dangerous, and ClouD needs to get way more Marines on the field, or at least needs to get a Thor out there to make sure that doesn't happen again. Those Marines getting cut down very easily here by the Mutalisks, and deliberately so, trying cutting off reinforcements, and he's doing just that. 3 Marines, 4 Marines taken by the sounds of it as well, and now looking for yet another, and as you can see, ClouD pulling back deliberately, doesn't want to be anywhere near that one. You can hardly blame him. He's now building 10 missile turrets because that's the obvious and not remotely overkill way to do things. I don't like Mutalisks either. You know, I'd probably build 10 missile turrets, especially if he's got the money, and he does. He's got a nice, strong economic advantage. He's one base ahead of a Zerg, which is common for ClouD, not to come for anyone else, and a smart move right there, placing that missile turret down to prevent those Mutalisks from coming in close. This contain is very, very solid. Extremely so. And once this comes up, I have no doubt that ClouD can get in there and do more damage. It's slightly out of range of his opponent right here. ClouD pushing forward once again. He's got way more Marines on the field this time around, so we'll find if he's able to do anything with them. I'm just really concerned about Sen's Mutalisk count right now. It's getting very high. He's already got now 14 right here. Here comes a sweeping attack once again, and Sen able to pick off a tank for free. Doesn't lose a muter in the process. ClouD really needs Thors, and he knows it. Here's the armory, and this is going to be a nasty break. Trying to bust his way out of here, and he will be able to do so. He's got plenty of resources. However, the reinforcements coming in from the side may stop. Indeed, he actually manages to hold it. ClouD with those additional 2 tanks deployed at just the right time, and a third one at the back to eliminate the rest of those banelings. This is very costly for Sen. He's having to throw away an awful lot of resources to make this happen. He has pushed ClouD back. ClouD's also at risk of getting the siege tanks picked off if he's not careful. We'll have to see just how good Sen's micromanagement really is. He's not going to be able to get into the base. It's pretty much locked down completely. Thor's now finally coming out for ClouD as he pushes forward with some Stim Marine, trying to take out that Queen and maybe do a bit of damage to the Spine Crawlers in the process, but it doesn't happen. He doesn't quite have the range. He's off by an absolute nanometer there. It's ridiculous. It's tiny. Sen wheeling around once again, looking to do a major damage to his opponent. He might be able to take that tank for free if he sees it, but it looks like he's not going to do anything like that. And Sen cleans up, and now that contain has been broken. The question is, does ClouD have the economic advantage? Of course he does. Is ClouD able to expand again? Probably. If he can stop this steamroller effect that's coming in his direction. Army supply count is very, very equal. However, ClouD has no medevacs, so he's really worn these Marines down. He's overstimmed them, and that makes them very vulnerable to Mutalisks, and of course incredibly vulnerable to Banelings as well. He needs to be very careful. Command Center moving down, and ClouD has this covered quite nicely. He needs a siege tank, and of course he needs a Thor if possible. He's got both coming. Now Sen is behind economically. There's no real question about that one. It's down to bases right now. Once the transfer happens down here, he'll be in a great state. Right now, of course, he's not making quite as much. ClouD's Thor stopping around over there. Very nice indeed. In the meantime, Mutalisks wheeling around just trying to find something, and they're not really finding anything to kill, honestly. Sen was doing fantastic with the Mutas earlier, but ClouD's defenses right now are very, very tight. They're difficult to deal with. I'm actually kind of surprised to see ClouD not going for the heavy upgrade approach that he's been known to do in previous games. Sen wheeling around once again, trying to go in for the attack, and will he be able to do any real damage more to the point? And the answer is he can take out that base. Not too bad. ClouD is moving in, and will ClouD be able to drive him away? Surely Sen will continue. Apparently not. He really doesn't want to lose those mutas right now. Another expansion coming out over there for Sen, and another. This is the problem. That contain worked for the time being, but what's ClouD's follow-up going to be? A couple of reactors coming down, working on his supply count. This is fully mined out. This is getting there. And of course, now started on this one. So if ClouD ends up getting out-expanded by his opponent, this could end up being really messy for him. His army count is looking great. I mean, look at that, 114 to 87. A lot of units on the field. 76 Marines. Not as well upgraded as I would have certainly liked to see by any stretch, but it's good. It's not bad at all. ClouD is hanging around and holding that line as best he can, and Sen with 24 mutas now in a very unpleasant little pack. More to the point, can he find a weakness in the defenses of ClouD? He can pick up the armory, certainly, if he wanted to attack from that direction, but he decides he's just going to go straight for it, and that's a smart move, considering that the defenses were not enough to deal with 24. ClouD's getting gutted right now, losing a huge amount of SCVs to the back there, and this area is potentially vulnerable as well. Sen will be forced to throw mutas away to do it, but still, ClouD is continuing to push forward right now with a large force of Marines and tanks. As you see, Sen continue to try and gut this as much as possible. Thor has been deployed, and Sen is not willing to hang around, but he's going to try and nuke a couple of supply depots in the process. Some damage done there, and Sen has been driven back for the moment, at any rate. Scouting coming in right here. Here comes the drops. One drop right there, picked up by the mutas, but there's a second drop to the back right there that should be able to pick off Sen's expansion, unless Sen moves out very quickly. The thing is, the only thing he can move is his mutas. He can't move anything else. If he tries to attack directly, he will be picked off. So it's a nice little contain right there by ClouD once again. And big fire coming right down on this hatchery. He's got to bring it down very, very rapidly. As you can see, it down it goes. Mutalisk pack should be able to clean this up, especially with the Broodling support, but still the damage was worth it. In the meantime, ClouD pushing forward once again and looking for other opportunities of expansion. He's got a command center moving out right there. Wants to try and move it over in this direction. It'll be difficult to secure, particularly if those mutas keep moving. Sen is holding this down very, very nicely indeed. It's going to be very difficult for ClouD to deal with. ClouD now finally working on the upgrades, and he's actually way behind his opponent in that regard. He's got to do something about that upgrade count. ClouD charging in once again, trying to do big damage, but he's going to meet... Good God, that's a lot of banelings. Yeah, I don't think he's going to live through that somehow. There you go. Sen plows him completely. He's got 49 banelings on the field and 77 zerglings, and that Mutalisk pack is still all over the place, and it's trying to do as much damage to ClouD's containment as possible. 4 doing a bit of damage as well, but I don't think that's enough, considering he's now charging into the line with everything he's got, and that is a green tide of destruction. More to the point, will he be able to hold it? It's looking very unlikely. Down he goes, and Sen completely clears it up. Patience is a virtue, seldom found in Terran apparently, as the Zerg player mows down ClouD, and ClouD's army supply count just dropped like a rock. Banelings continue to come in, and that tank is very vulnerable. Down it goes. Do you have any other tanks, more to the point? Does he have any? He does not. His defense is looking really open right now. Got to do something about it. The Marines are not enough, and ClouD is not quick enough moving away from it either, and he's getting fried at this point. He had control, but unfortunately he has lost it. Sen just waited him out. He decided, right, this is what I need to break this line, and then completely destroyed it. ClouD still has bases up, that's for sure, but they are very vulnerable to attack. Both of these are planetary fortresses, so going in with Zerglings is going to be difficult, admittedly, but those mutants are wheeling around and trying to take out as many tanks as possible, doing a pretty good job of it as well. And the army count is not looking great for ClouD right now. Needs way more units, and that Thor's going to end up getting taken out if he's not careful. He needs to bring in the reinforcements of the repairs almost immediately. Can he hold that line? Can the Thor hold it? Absolutely not. And down it goes. He's able to hold up a reasonable number of Zerglings, but in the meantime, Sen continues to plow in those reinforcements. And ClouD is getting absolutely wrecked right here. Losing tech buildings left, right, and center. It's not ideal. Those Mutalisks are very hard to deal with. Missile towers coming in, a salvo coming in from the ground. He picks up 1 and 2. However, ClouD's still in big trouble. Trying to hold on to this base, and trying to hold on to this base, but he can't do it. GG, ladies and gentlemen. And Sen finally is able to overcome ClouD, who was doing extremely well in the beginning of the game, but just didn't really seem to know where to go with it.